What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we are going to talk about moving to Arizona from out of state. Things to know, things to consider, some tips that you may find useful, some things that you might already know. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this. If you're new to Living in Arizona, this channel here, you can subscribe, and we've got a whole bunch of different videos that you can view. At the end of the video, I'll put an end screen so you can click through some of the playlist, and you could just go to the homepage and see what we have. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So if you're moving to Phoenix from Canada, which is another country, or if you're moving to Phoenix from, say, Texas or Louisiana, wherever you may be coming from, you're probably curious about this. Number one thing is you want to do your research, right? Well, if you're watching this video, you're already taking the steps to do research. You're watching this video and many other videos just like this. So when you're doing the research, what are some things that you should be researching that can be relevant to this? And you need to be figuring out the cost of living. You need to be figuring out neighborhoods, schools, healthcare, all of these different varieties of issues, right? The good and bad neighborhoods, the job market, where you're going to work, right? How far you are going to be away from your work, and where your job is in relation to your home. So if your job is in downtown Phoenix and you're moving to Peoria, how far away is Peoria? What are the freeway systems to get there? Sometimes just a simple search on Google from Peoria to downtown Phoenix, it'll give you the route, tell you the freeways. Then you can know how far away it is if you're considering an area. Let's just say you're moving here and you're going to work with Boeing, who's out in Mesa, but you're looking at homes out in Glendale. How do you get from Glendale to Mesa? How far is that? Because what happens if you're in love with the neighborhood in Glendale, but you find out that Glendale is a 45-minute drive away from your Boeing job, right? So these are some things to consider. You also have registering your vehicle. You can find this on Thought Catalog just by doing a simple research on Google. You can pull up things to consider when moving, right? How much is gas, when and where? I mean, gas is pretty nominal. It's the same for the most part, give or take a couple 10, 15 cents, a couple dimes up or down, depending on where you're coming from. And even how long do you want to stay here? So depending on how long you want to stay here, do you want to buy a house? Do you just want to rent, or do you want to rent and then buy? I will say this, if you are buying a house, there are some things to consider, like closing times, closing costs. So let me give you some tips on that. If you're thinking about buying a new house, that's what I did. I bought a brand new house, meaning never lived in before. It was a new build. What I will say about that is the closing time, they were 1 month late on the completion date. So they said they were going to be done on August 15th. They didn't actually finish until September 15th. So that meant that I had to account for about a month of sleeping in a hotel. And are you prepared for that? If they slide back your closing time. This is typical with new home builds. They're very finicky about that process, because once the home is complete, then they've got to get the approval from the bank, let the bank know, then the bank's got to close on it, then the documents got to go out to the county, then you can finally move in once you get the keys. And I remember that was a bit of a process. So if you're considering moving into a new build straight from out of town, just give yourself about a month worth of potentially staying in hotels, or if you have family, you could stay there. I have family that lives here. I just didn't want to burden my family by living there and staying on their couch or whatever for a month. They would have let me do it. I just chose to stay in a hotel because that's what I chose. But if you have family here, you can also do that, or friends if they're willing to let you sleep on the couch for about a month, right? Do I really need this where I'm going? They're talking about the details of packing, all the stuff that you're bringing in the U-Haul. Do you really need it? Like, how much of that stuff do you really need? Because when you get here, you can buy stuff on Facebook groups. You'll notice, depending on your area, you just type into Facebook. Let's say you're moving to Queen Creek. Type in Queen Creek. You'll see Queen Creek Buy, Sell, and Trade, Queen Creek Yard Sale. These are groups, and people just sell things left and right in there. So you might be able to just sell all your stuff before you leave, go onto your Facebook group and sell all your stuff, and then start over with brand new stuff when you get here, with a mix of some, buy, sell, and trade stuff. You don't necessarily have to pay for the U-Haul and shipping and all that jazz like that, right? So, what are some other ideas of things you can get? You can go on mrcooper.com. They've got the housing market. Before you buy, what do you need to know about the housing market? Is it at its peak? Is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? What is it? We already talked about the cost of living, utilities. You're going to have to account for the fact that you're going to be paying for higher summer costs. Culture, employment, summer costs because it's hot here, so the AC, you're going to have to run that quite a bit. 10 ways to save money and minimize headaches when you're moving here. A penny shaved is a penny earned, right? That's what they say. Pack some knowledge. Become knowledgeable about what's going on about your move. Get the last 3 estimates. They say before you do anything, this is on moneytalksnews.com, before you do anything, maybe get a couple different quotes. If you're going to buy a house, maybe look at 3 different houses. If you're going to rent an apartment, maybe look at 3 different houses. If you're going to rent a house, or 3 different apartments. If you're going to rent a house, look at 3 different homes to rent. Don't just go for the first thing. Even if you think it sounds good, maybe shop around a little bit. Get 3 different quotes because you'll learn different things from each one of those phone calls or each one of those conversations that you're going to have with the real estate agent, etc. Timing isn't everything, but it is something. This can be relevant because in Phoenix or in Arizona, we have snowbirds. So for 6 months out of the year, we have more people than we do in the summer. So from about May till October, I'm not going to say the prices are going to go down, but it's going to be a lot less crowded on the roads. If you're coming in with the U-Haul or you're towing a U-Haul with a car on the back, there's going to be less people on the streets. It's going to be less congested in the summertime. But moving, you're going to be sweating. It's going to be hot, when you're bringing in all the stuff, the couches and all that jazz, right? Don't buy what you can get for free. There's some things like Goodwill, you can go there, that's basically free, right? Pack it yourself. You don't necessarily have to hire professional movers, right? You can give stuff away to Goodwill also. Insure your good move. I don't know about that. I don't know if you need to insure a move, but some of you might find that useful. But let's move on to apartment therapy. They've got another list of things you can consider when you're moving here. Move on a random weekday. I like that one. Apartmenttherapy.com. That's what they say. Move on a random weekday. That's pretty clever, opposed to a weekend. A lot of people choose weekends, but that's when there's more, if you go on a weekday, more people are at work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon than they are 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekend when they're out hanging out. Hit up local businesses for boxes. That's a great idea. Go to some places that collect boxes and say, hey, you got any extra boxes you don't need? Get creative with packaging, with packing, suitcases, laundry hampers. Those can all serve as boxes, coolers for food, right? Apply for a change of address early. This is something that can be a bit of a pain in the butt because you've got 10 days to go down to the DMV and let them know you're changing addresses and this is your new address by law, legally. I'm not saying that everyone's going to... when you move here, you've probably like, really? 10 days? I got 10 days to announce this? You're going to need a little bit more time typically. But by law, you're supposed to make it 10 days. I know that's a little bit challenging. Try a hybrid move. That's some stuff to consider. Hiring a full-service moving company can cost at least $1,000 a hack. Hire movers for just a portion of the job, like loading the truck, moving big pieces, and then, you can do the rest yourself. So maybe you don't need a full moving company to do everything, maybe just the big stuff, right? Skip the yard sale. There's no sense in moving unwanted items, but it takes a lot of effort to host a full-on, that's true. So, to host a yard sale, that can be a bit of an effort. Meal prep, that's something to consider. Use trash bag instead of wardrobe boxes. Hit up a dollar store. Okay. Then if it's just about Arizona things that you're going to want to know, this you can get on smartasset.com. They've got some good advice about just Arizona in general. I would say Grand Canyon, obviously, cooking with cactus. Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. Arizona's New Age vibe. Yeah, we've got that. It's not all mega cities. There is rural towns out here. Spring training baseball. We already know about that. We've had a little bit of cold temperatures, but here's another one about Arizona that you can dial in on goodcall.com. Moving advice. Summer is the off season. We just mentioned that. Public transportation is available. We do have a light rail system here. Beat the heat. pack a jersey and a foam finger, okay, that's something to consider. Yeah, Phoenix is a sports city. Park with care. Pay special attention to parking signs. Many streets have restricted parking permits or payment. You know, okay, that's nothing new about Phoenix, right? Cost of living. The cost of living in Arizona is going to vary greatly depending on where in the state you are moving. Obviously, the larger markets will be much more expensive than the smaller one. In Phoenix, Arizona's largest market, healthcare and general goods and services tend to run a little higher than the national average, but the overall cost of living is still much lower than other places relatively. The cost of living index in Phoenix is 95 on the national average being 100. So with 100 being the national average, Phoenix is just below the national average at 95%. Most of that savings you'll see most of that savings in the actual cost of the mortgage or the actual rent price, because it's really easy to build out here because you just bowl over a couple trees and a couple bushes and then you build. It's not, and there's no oceanfront property, so there you go. If you want colder climates, check northern Arizona. If you want colder or warmer climates, check Phoenix. The desert areas, Phoenix and Tucson, are hotter cities. But even in those hotter cities, if you want cooler climates, you would look at the high desert, and typically that is what you call the foothills. Both cities have foothills. Those are mountains. We have mountains all around Tucson, all around Phoenix. But the higher up you go in the foothills, that's why you'll see it'll be warm down in the valley, but there's snow up on the peaks. That's just that difference in elevation can be the difference in snow or no snow. And so if you want to know our major air travel outlets, it's really in Phoenix, it's called Sky Harbor International Airport. We also have Phoenix Gateway out here in Southeast Valley. Tucson has one. And then we have the bus systems. You have Valley Metro, which is Phoenix, SunTran, which is Tucson, Greyhound Bus, Amtrak for both bus and rail, and then we have light rail with Metro. So lots of great advice here. Just consider the climate, education systems. Certain parts of Arizona are known to have very poor quality schools. Some parts of Arizona are known to have good quality schools. Gilbert's a good place for schools. Chandler's got some decent schools. And then you have some areas where you might want to not go to school or send your kids to school because they're just not high quality school districts for kids. It's well known. Arizona actually ranks among the bottom tier for schools. But that just because overall the state doesn't mean that every school is poor results. All right, guys. So hope this helps at least some bit, opens your mind to some ideas to consider when you're moving here. If you enjoy this video, please do give it a like and ask a question. This comes to you guys from a question that was dropped in the comments below multiple times. People asking any tips for moving from out of state. So when you guys comment and ask questions, I read them and I try to make videos regarding this. So it is a little bit of a interaction. Some people like to lurk in the dark and never say anything. They just like to lurk, and who knows if they ever exist. But I definitely personally appreciate when you guys interact with the community. And also you can check out, there's other videos on this channel. I'll post links here all over the place. Watch any one of these videos and we'll see you guys next time.